I hung on, but I tumbled to the ground and Martin crashed on top of me. I heard a really loud pop as an excruciating pain radiated up and down my right arm. I realized something had snapped. "Ow! That hurts!" "Don't shake it off, you'll be fine," Martin said. But my arm was really aching. I asked him to take me home. By the time he dropped me off, my elbow had swelled to 3 times its normal size. My dad, a doctor, examined my arm. "You need to have that looked at," he said immediately. When Martin came over later that evening, my arm was in a cast and I was livid. He was apologetic, but I didn't care. "You have no idea what this means. I'm a music major and I can't play anything with a broken arm." I was so mad at Martin, I said, "We're done." I broke up with him for breaking my arm. Sunday, on the way back to college, instead of driving my cute sports car with the stick that I could no longer shift, I rode in my parents' sedan. Dad had to carry my books and laundry to my dorm room. On Monday, I dropped half my classes because I could no longer play bass. But that wasn't all. The next week was Valentine's Day. I could hear squeals from the girls who received flowers, candy, and perfume from their boyfriends. Beautiful bouquets filled my friends' dorm rooms, and the hall never smelled better. I never felt worse. Alone in my dorm room, I lay on my bed, the cast weighing heavily against my stomach. I didn't have a boyfriend, a car, or a class in my major. Music was the whole reason I'd gone to college. Now it was as absent as my cute former boyfriend. Everything that made me cool, everything that brought me attention and fed my ego was suddenly missing. For the first time, I began to wonder, what's life all about anyway? Do I have a purpose? Is this all that life has to offer? The things that mattered in my world had been stripped away, and all I had left was a question mark. If everything that brought me joy or significance was so fleeting it could disappear with the snap of an elbow, then what's the point? A friend in my dorm had been praying for me. One day, she invited me to a Christian campus meeting. I'd only been to church a handful of times since I started college, and I figured if there was ever a time to go back, this was it. While there, I heard a message reminding me how much God loves me. I had nothing to offer him in return. In fact, I couldn't even put on my own deodorant. I had to ask my roommate for help. But the speaker said God didn't want anything from me. He had something for me. I was God's child, and he wanted me to stop running so he could love me. The speaker was so inspiring that when he announced a mission trip to Mongolia, my friend and I signed up. Since I wasn't any use to anyone else, I thought, if God can use me, I might as well go. I had no idea what I was getting into. I grew up with a lot of material objects. Though my parents were frugal, my dad was a cardiologist and made a good living. We had a country club membership so I could order whatever I wanted and just sign the ticket. When I was in high school, my parents surprised me with an expensive instrument, my very own bass. In short, I was spoiled. When I got to Mongolia, I had the culture shock of my life. We landed in Ulaanbaatar, the capital city. Located between China and Russia, the country had been under Soviet influence until 1990, when it had its own democratic revolution. 6 years later, I could still see the influence. The apartment complexes were identical buildings in dire need of maintenance. Everything was dirty. We spent our first 4 days meeting with local church leaders. They took us to a pizza restaurant where the menu revealed 3 kinds of pizza: mutton, cheese, and American. The American pizza was topped with ham, corn, and mutton. Apparently they didn't know